Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to LinkedIn Tuesday. It's October 7th, 2025. We're very glad you're with us this afternoon. Please note this event is being recorded. The recording will be on the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. For everybody who's on Zoom, please feel free to put in your name, what position you're looking for, your contact information, put in your LinkedIn address, put in your email address, and give us 2 or 3 target companies you're looking for. How can we help you? How can other people who are on the call help you? Feel free to put that information in the chat window. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org, a website to help those unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I started careerusa.org to help those around the United States. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon, or if you see me, I'll usually have copies with me. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Group. That group's been around since the late 1990s. I took it over in 2007 when the prior leader landed a job. And since 2017, I've been a member of the PIT crew, also known as the Practice Interview Team. Don't wait until you have an interview to actually practice interviewing. Practice early, practice often. Just go to dallaspitcrew.com for more information. Well, we have 4 outstanding speakers who talk about LinkedIn. They rotate through on a monthly basis. Really appreciate them giving their time every month. Today, our speaker is Locke Alderson. He's a career consultant, a recruiter. He has placed many people over the years. And today he's going to talk about how to use LinkedIn for job hunting strategies that get results. So Locke, it's all yours as soon as you unmute your mic. Nope, you're muted.
I'm unmuted now. Sorry.
There we go.
See if I can get. Where's my slideshow button?
All the way on the very left-hand side.
Okay. Hopefully people can see that. I'll black me out as well.
Yep, you're good.
Welcome, Jeff. Thank you for having me again. He puts up with me in my technical phobias of doing that. But again, there's a little bit of my background up there with 43 years in recruiting and 24 years doing career consulting. And if you add those up, no, I'm not in my teens when I started working. I did start working in my teens, but not full time. But I did some of the career consulting while I was working also elsewhere at Oracle Corporation. And after I retired for that, started to do that a little bit more full-time with Lee Heck Harrison and Mullen International. Mullen said, "You've been doing it volunteer work for 12 years. Would you like to try it on a contract for 90 days? And that 90 days lasted for 4 years and 90 days before Mullen sold out to Lee Heck Harrison. After they laid everybody off at Mullen, I was picked up a month later by Lee Heck Harrison, was with them for 2 years, doing this on a full-time, part-time, full-time kind of basis. But also involved in my background, I've been a job hunter like you all out there listening today at least 5 times in my career when I've been laid off. And at least all of those times I turned to the Lord and said, okay, you're with me in this, Lord, because I can't do it alone. And so that's part of my background, and you'll see some of that in the presentation today. So let's move on and start to talk about LinkedIn and ways that you can use it for job hunting. Again, one of those verses that I mentioned, blessed be the Lord, day after day he bears our burdens, because there were days when I was at the bottom of that roller coaster and very discouraged after the news that I hadn't gotten the job after that outstanding interview that I conducted. So that's kind of the background. Well, job hunting is a relationship. I know our pastor gave a sermon about relationships, and relationships are a part of our lives. Well, job hunting is one of those relationships. With LinkedIn, it's one, showing up and getting found on LinkedIn, and two, opening up and using your LinkedIn to show what you've done. But again, a question I will ask all of you, why are you using LinkedIn? Is it just because it's to be found by a recruiter or hiring manager, or it's for networking, or just exactly what's your reasoning or rationale for using LinkedIn? Well, LinkedIn is probably the #1 job hunting board out there today, with over 1 billion users worldwide and about 180 million of them here in the United States. So you can see that it's a very important tool in the recruiter's toolbox. I know it was in mine. I didn't pay to use LinkedIn, although LinkedIn offers 2 paid licenses, a recruiter license, which is $10,000 a seat, and Recruiter Lite, which is $5,000 a seat. Kurt Vandemotter used to have the full recruiter license seat, and somebody else I work with has the Recruiter Lite in her executive search work. So that's kind of one of the reasons that we use LinkedIn. One person has said LinkedIn has been an irreplaceable tool in my job search. The ability to show my experience, the exact experience that I've had and skills that I've on my LinkedIn profile is what ultimately landed me the job. So what about LinkedIn? What's all about? Well, let's take a look at your LinkedIn profile. Does it attract hiring managers or recruiters' attention? That's a question that you need to ask yourself, because it's a vital question in your as you go along, because if it isn't attracting attention, you're not using it properly. Again, we're going to cover today LinkedIn, your headline and open to work sections, your dashboard and your about sections. And yes, your dashboard is something that you should be checking periodically. Your work history and your skills and endorsements. Those are the things that recruiters look for when they look at your profile. And are you optimizing your profile? And then taking a look at how recruiters actually do searches. And then for you, how do you search for jobs, the things that you can do, and then some homework assignments. How can you beef up your LinkedIn profile? The first question I'll ask you is, it all starts with your profile. And again, taking a look at that, what is it that attracts you about people in the profile that you have? Again, I have a banner picture. I've got a headshot there. I've got my name and a headline. The other thing's the open to work section. And this one, I'm only open to recruiters, those that were subscribed to that Recruiter and Recruiter Lite software license that LinkedIn offers. But first impressions are vitally important. And this is your kind of first impression of me if you didn't see my picture. So what is it? How long has it been since you've updated your profile? Does it look like an old rusty car because of neglect? I know when I go to the grocery store, I often look at the best used by date on a lot of the produce, not on the produce, but on things like milk and meat. On the produce, I look to see that it's fresh, because if they don't, people aren't going to select that. The same thing happens with your profile. And if your profile is the headline is the only thing somebody sees, what does it say about you? Does it address what the recruiter wants? Again, you have 6 to 10 seconds about my profile. Notice here that I've changed the open to work banner so that it's open to everybody on LinkedIn. It also gives you access to a few other things, and we'll talk about that later. Okay. What we want to do, or encourage you to do today, is to complete all the sections of your LinkedIn profile, because each section has a value, and those values add up when searches are conducted. Or if you have information in that section of your profile, it adds up, and the total point scores are the ones that rise to the top when a search is conducted. Use a professional headshot and banner photo or background photo. I know I change mine periodically. If you noticed mine today behind my picture here on the presentation, it was the Sydney Harbor background. We did a cruise to Sydney, Australia in February this year. But you want to have a headline, the job title or titles of the positions you're applying for. Use the open to work in the about section. It's an overview of your career. In your about section, one thing that's critically important is having your contact information on the first line of your about section. Again, if you have not opened up your security sessions to everybody so they can see your phone number and email address, having it at the top line of your about section makes it easier for that hiring manager or recruiter to give you a call. The other things that you can have is having your experience section, your job title. If you have an unusual job title, and I worked for a company which used titles like Member of Technical Staff 3. And again, that doesn't explain a lot about who you are if somebody's just casually looking at your profile. But those are the kind of things that you need to have on your profile. Another verse of scripture that I like from the Old Testament in Jeremiah, For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. Those are some of the things that we can think about as we think. When I have discouragement, I know those are the kind of things I can look to the future. So one of the things I'll ask you, is your headline if it's the only thing somebody sees about you, what does it really say about you? Does it tell who you are? Does it really identify what you want to do? And is it a grabber? Those are the kind of questions that you need to think about when you think about your headline. So let's take a look at some headlines. I've run a bunch of them up on this screen. Excuse me. Most of them may be true about you. I've seen it unemployed, retired, or seeking new opportunity. Those can be true, but they don't put you in the most positive light. Again, formerly VP of Finance says that somebody is a VP of Finance, but it adds that word formerly. The question in a recruiter or hiring manager's mind is, how long has he been out of work? Experienced digital design engineer seeking new opportunity. Again, somebody who's actively looking. Makes it easy for the recruiter to possibly look at you as somebody that they can contact. Again, social media strategists and content managers seeking a new opportunity and has experience with print and digital media, public relations, marketing, and corporate communications. Some of the others are rather succinct, but they hit the highlights of what somebody's career is. And if somebody's looking for a senior accountant with general ledger and financial reporting and cost accounting experience, they might top that. I know executive assistant, if I do a search here in the Dallas area for executive assistants on LinkedIn, there are only about 40,000 of them. So how do you differentiate yourself? Well, part of the way that you do that is by using your headline and adding to it. One of the ways that you can do that, and LinkedIn has made that a little bit easier, is to add other words with it, adjectives and other titles that you can use, and the values that you bring, and some examples of what you've done. So let's take a look at some of those. This is one. Oh, this is my headline, an original one. And if you want to test your headline, you can use that URL at the bottom with headlines@sharethrough.com and test your headline. Mine tested on this one is a 55% overall, a 65% for engagement, 55% for impression. When I modified it slightly using some of those adjectives and things I mentioned, my overall score jumped up about 25 points to 75. My engagement score didn't go up much to 872, and my impression score again almost went up 20 points. But you can see the difference that's there by adding those. Again, another thing I'll notice while we're here, if you happen to use that pipe carrier, which is a shift key above your enter key on your keyboard, be sure and use a blank space on either side of it, because otherwise the terms will not be searchable when somebody does a search. Okay, the same thing if you have a backslash, make sure there's a space on either side of it. Again, some more descriptive headlines. Again, the accountant, senior accountant, increasing productivity in highly regulated industries like telecommunications or your public utilities. Again, product manager, program manager are often the same. Specialized in international business and aerospace, narrowly defines the individual's background and experience. Customer relations, helping business become more customer-centric. IT project manager, ITIL and Scrum, Agile, able to explain high tech to customers. It's vital when you have a difficult subject to be able to explain it in layman's terms to the customer. And that's something that some people can do. If you have that ability, it's great to mention it. Likewise, a business analyst is able to bridge the gap between techies and management. Again, something that are passionate about building scalable solutions for somebody who's a applications developer. Some other headlines as you can use: systems analyst in healthcare, using digital indices to reduce hospital admissions paperwork by 54%. If you've ever gone to the hospital and had to go through the admissions process and know all the forms that you had to fill out and sign, you can imagine somebody can do that digitally. It improves the process and speeds up the process, makes it easier for the patient to sign in and for the hospital. But those are just some additional examples that you can see. If you should want the slide deck, just send me an email at lockealderson@gmail.com and I'll be happy to send it to you. But these are just some examples to give you some ideas of how to improve that. Another verse of scripture that I like is peace. I leave with you my peace I give to you, not as the world gives do I give it to you. Let not your hearts be troubled, neither let them be afraid. In John's Gospel in the New Testament. Again, why use the open to work? That banner, that horse banner from about 5 o'clock to about 9 o'clock that says open to work. Some people think of that as a stigma, that they're saying that they're out of work. Well, if you're out of work, you want to let people know about it, because more people, if you ask them for help, are likely to give you help if you ask them than whether you just say that you're out there looking. Again, it's there. It also allows you to have an open to work section there that allows you to add 5 additional job titles and other details that you can add to it. And it's open to all LinkedIn members. Again, when you do that, you start to add the titles, executive recruiter and recruiter. I started to add career, and you just notice there's some artificial intelligence or the drop-down menu that you can choose things. If the titles that you want to use are not in LinkedIn, guess what? LinkedIn won't let you use them. But it does allow you to determine, if you're working on site or hybrid or remote, it does leave you to say that. And if you're looking to locate to another part of the country, at least identifies that here and lets you do that. And where are you in your job search? Actively looking or simply browsing around? Okay. Those are some things that the open to work can do, and I recommend it for people unless you're in the stealth mode of job search. Again, that way you may not want to open it up to everybody else. Another section of your profile that you may not use actively is your analytics section. Okay, it used to be called your dashboard, but it allows you to look at different things. How many post impressions have you seen in the last week? How many profile viewers, people have actually taken a look at your profile in the last 90 days? How many followers have you added in this last week? And how many search appearances? Again, critical in the last 7 days if you're looking at that. But that'll give you that by clicking on some of those. It can give you who's looking at your profile as well. If you subscribe to the premium package, it'll tell you exactly who they are. Okay, so that's one thing that you may want to take a look at in the home section. Again, the about section or your featured section allows you to display samples of your work. Those might be your profile. Could be your resume. It could be a book that you've written. It could be the PowerPoint presentations like the ones I mentioned there. It can also be your portfolio if you're in advertising, or if you're like my son, who is a motion graphics designer, he has samples of his work that he's done, has created. That's a section that you can use as well to talk about yourself. If you should put your resume in there, be careful, because that resume may not be the most current resume, and it may not be tailored to the job that you're applying for. So think of something to think about. Moving on in your profile, about your summary. What does it really showcase your experience? I like this particular one. It's a little longer than I normally recommend, or some of the other LinkedIn presenters like. They only say 4 or 5 lines and then a break. This one is particularly well written, but it also has the contact information at the top, right up there where it can be found easily. It also uses some bullets to highlight their different experience, and lists down at the bottom some specialties. Again, it uses an acronym, the FP&A, Financial Planning Analysis. If you do use acronyms, be sure and spell it out the first time that you use it before you continue to use it. Okay. Looking at some other summaries. Okay. LinkedIn now allows, and it's perfectly okay to use first person. I am grateful, as in the first example, to be a partner with world-class award-winning companies. Talks about their competencies, executive coaching, training, talent development, and some of the companies where they've had experience: Disney World and Golf Disney Institute. Okay, the second one down there, I'm a strategic, creative, hands-on marketer. Again, most of the time, if you put that in your resumes without examples to offer substance to that, people would think of it as fluff. But LinkedIn has enough space in it that you can give examples and to support whatever those terms that you use. Moving on to the experience section. Again, you want to have your job title, your company names and dates, your duties and responsibilities. Do try and limit those to 3 to 5 lines, because if it's longer than that, most people won't want to read it. And you want to use some bulleted areas of accomplishment. This one is, I've worked for major corporations, and sometimes LinkedIn will pick up the icon for that corporation. But you notice I have about 4 lines there in my description of duties. I have an email that I included from Amanda Gill, who was the director of recruiting at Oracle when I left and retired there in 2010. And it gives some background about my experience. The other thing I mentioned about accomplishments, by including a couple of accomplishments that you have while I was a senior recruiter, twice selected as recruiter of the quarter, supporting the consulting organization. Okay, it's twice selected. I selected from among 50 recruiters to attend the annual club that Oracle ran for its consulting organization. They have about 30,000 in the consulting organization worldwide. So it was quite an honor. I'm from among 50 recruiters. Another thing that you could do that LinkedIn allows you to do is add additional sections. And that's that plus section when you first open up your profile. One of the things I strongly suggest that you do, if you're not working right now, if you are out of work, include a job, what you're currently doing. You can also add a section for volunteer experience and projects. Let's take a look at the possible job for while you're out of work. This is one for adding a current position. Notice I've just put a current title. The job that you're looking for, the software applications developer. They're looking for a full-time position. The company searching in the type of industry that the individual might have, and start to put the location, as you notice, again, artificial intelligence, and it starts to say Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, Dallas County, Dallas, Texas, could be Dallas, Oregon, and Dallas, Georgia, or some additional ones that you can add to that. But adding that current position means you're more likely to get requests for connections and also to have people take a look at your profile, because you can add some of the duties that you may have as well into that section. If you've got a lot of project work, like a lot of IT consultants, when I was Oracle and Siebel, many of the resumes I would review had sections about projects that they'd worked on. There'd be a whole page for a project. This is an example of a project. This is when I was just selected when I was the program manager for the Dallas-Fort Worth Staffing Management Association. And when that happened, and I was responsible for selecting speakers for each of the meetings that we had during that time frame. It allows you to give the size and scope of the project, its impact and significance, the number of people and other resources that were involved, and then you could add things like, was it completed on time, on budget, or even under budget. Skills and endorsements is another major section that's important in your profile, and I'll show you why. It allows you to select those. Notice it says the ones that are there. If you click on the ones with a plus, it will allow you to add those to your list. You're allowed to have 100 now. I think I've only got 50 on mine. I've never gone much beyond that one before they revised it. But one of the things that you want to do on your skills is to choose the ones that you want. If you don't, LinkedIn will choose the top 2 or 3 that they think is the most important for you. So how do you go about changing those? Well, before we get to that, how do you go about finding out about your skills? Well, this one, that URL, that's LinkedIn GitHub IO Career Explorer, allows you to check that. And if you want, you can skip ahead to the next section, and it will give you that. They have about 150 skills or jobs that are listed with the different skills that are involved. This is where an implementation project manager and all the skills that are listed there. And it gives you some idea of what you can do and things that you can include about that and how you match up to that particular job as an implementation manager. Are your skills optimized and organized for the maximum impact? Well, you can do that when you open up your profile. You will see those 3 dots that are there on your profile under skills. Notice mine, and there's a pencil so that you can edit each of those. But if you click on those 3 dots, it allows you to show up that it says reorder. And if you take your cursor and move it over here and hold down on your cursor, you can drag and drop the ones that you want. And I know that that's helpful. I know one of the things that you want to do on your profile is to update it periodically. And by doing that, by just reordering these occasionally, maybe once a week, it will refresh your profile. And again, refreshed profiles and profile activity is one of the categories LinkedIn looks at when they conduct a search. Again, another thing that you might want to do and consider about yourself is optimizing your profile. Take a look at the other people on profile. When I did a recruiter search for Dallas-Fort Worth area at this time, there were about almost 26,500 people that had LinkedIn in their profile as a headline. Okay. By looking at some of those people, if you weren't showing up when you do that kind of a search, and I used to show up in the first 2 screens because I was very active on LinkedIn. Again, I now don't show up until probably about the 20th screen. But if you don't show up in the first 10 screens, and there are 10 thumbnail sketches on each screen, again, you probably are not going to get looked at or considered for a position when somebody does a search on LinkedIn. So you can do that. And one of the things you can do, open up some of their searches, somebody's background like Christina or Renee. She mentions recruiter. She's got recruiter there. She's got open to work with recruiter mentioned several times along with talent acquisition. In her about section, again, 15 years experience of staffing, another word that's used for recruiting. But look at some of those people that are out there and use some of the words, the verbiage that's there in your own profile. Don't copy it exactly, because somebody may know that other person if you try and copy and put it in your profile. Okay. Now I want to move on and do another search and show you about job hunting on LinkedIn. How do you do that? You know, how does a LinkedIn actually run a search? Because that's important to know. And how do recruiters search? There's some minor differences there. But again, you want to know that. And then recruiter research results, and then how you go about searching for jobs. So let's take a look at that. Again, you can search for jobs in a number of different ways. Okay, but what do recruiters really search for? Well, each section, as I mentioned in your profile, has a value. Okay, and your activity is another of those. Your ranking in the searches is based on the sum of the values, and the higher scores appear at the top of the list of results based on the qualifications being sought. That's a mouthful to say, but that's basically what happens when a recruiter search is done. Recruiters are generally looking for the most important thing that I look at is job titles, and those are found in your present headline, your open to work section, your about section, and your employment section, both present and past job titles. And the more times a title appears, again, the more likely it's to appear at the top. Somebody has said that that's a population staffing, if you will, staffing your resume, your profile with words. Next thing they want to do is keywords from your skills and sets. I mentioned a way to find that under skills and your keyword from your profession. If you don't know what some of those are, just take a look at some of the postings that you're looking at. Those are some of the keywords and skills that need to appear in your profile. I also need to appear in your resume. Okay. Industries that you've worked in and specific companies. I know when I've done searches, and we'll take a look at a result, it shows that people are looking for a background in the Seattle area. Okay, so that may be a specific company or specific industry. Healthcare is notorious for seeking people for within the healthcare industry that you have experience there. People want skilled recruiters want people who've done the job before, so they're likely to target specific companies with those kind of jobs or those kind of job titles. Education and geographic location, again, is important because recruiters, most of us don't want to drive more than 20, 25 miles from our current where we live to a job. Again, we may be open to relocation, but some companies are interested in people from specific locations where there are concentrations of people and skills. Current and prior companies and your length of service, your pedigree, if you will, and how long you've been there. Job hunting is not quite as much a negative as it used to be because of the economic times have seen a lot of turmoil in the job market and a lot of turnover. Then recruiters take a look at your summary and your experience. So those are the things that you take a look at. Okay, so let's take a look at the recruiter search engine. When you subscribe to the recruiter software package, again, this is the data entry field. There are at least 3 of these or 4 of these. And this was taken when there were about 710 million people in LinkedIn worldwide. But this allows you, by clicking certain boxes on here, again, it allows you to narrow it down, do a search and narrow about 710 million down to about 70 within about 30 seconds or less. Okay. Let's take a look at a specific search. This is one for a product manager, and this is for someone looking in the greater Seattle area, as mentioned. They'll take somebody in product management or product marketing. Those two frequently overlap, and notice that there are some there. They're looking for companies that are, these are some companies that are particularly in the Seattle area. They have tossed in University of Washington, which is up there in the Seattle area. Okay, right now, that search brought in or identified about 6,900 total candidates in the search pool. And 2,500 of them had connections with the company that was doing the search. Okay, but there were about 56 people with that particular search. If we move on and take a look at another search, this one was from the Chicago area. They're looking for a project manager in the greater Chicago area, but we'll consider somebody from. Oh, my screen is very touch sensitive. Consider somebody from the San Francisco area or the New York area. And likewise, they were looking for somebody who had background in addition to project management, but analytics and business strategy. Those are some of the other things that were included in the search. And notice that down here at the bottom is Northwestern University, which is just north of Chicago. But in this particular one, it's worth noting, this was at a time, the search screen captured, was at a time when not a lot of people were using the open to work function. So recruiters would take a look at that and say, well, I'll probably take a look at those 83 first before I try and tackle the nearly 43,000 over toward the left of the total pool that's available based on my search criteria. Well, let's take a look at how you go about searching for jobs. You have two ways for doing that. You have the general search bar located next to the LinkedIn icon, or you can go over to the jobs tab. Either one of them you can do a search for. Okay. If you happen to use the jobs tab, you have two options: the search jobs and search location. And you can put a job title in, a company title there if you want, or an industry. Okay. If you don't enter a location the first time that you do a search, it's going to default to the United States. If you've done a search before for, say, the Dallas area, it'll come up to the Dallas area the next time you run that search. Okay. Then you want to click on that. The next thing that you could do, searching for jobs, this was for a sales rep. They didn't enter a location, so it defaulted to the United States. Most recruiters would say that's too big a search pool to look at with almost 200,000 people. You could do a senior accountant in Plano, Texas that mentioned the mileage location of 25 miles. That 25 miles is a default setting on most job boards because recruiters have learned from applicants that people just don't want to drive that more than 25 miles to work. Again, the exceptions being if you live in someplace like Denton and are willing to commute to Dallas or Fort Worth, which is a little over 25 miles. But again, that default setting is there as well. But in that particular setting, there were 144 results for jobs at the time that this was done. Again, ran a quality search. I did this example for a Zoom meeting with Quality Assurance Management, their quarterly meeting here in Dallas. And I just did it for example, ran quality assurance. Again, there were 1,922 jobs in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Again, most of the people were higher level quality assurance or quality control people or management. So that job search, you can simplify it by adding an additional word like manager and dropped it by 90% of the jobs dropped out from there. Also, in some cases, you notice when you see on LinkedIn on a job search, this happens to identify the recruiter who has placed that particular search. The description is over here at the site as well. Now, the search for an executive assistant in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, there were 960 openings at the time. But notice in the Dallas, you have the Dallas, Georgia, and somehow Allegheny County, Pennsylvania got tossed in there. I don't know how to do that. But also there's a Dallas, Oregon as well. So be careful about what you put in and select the right one. But it allows the Dallas area, allows you to choose the Dallas Metroplex, the Dallas County, or the Dallas, Texas within the city limits. This is one for recruiter and all jobs. I clicked on the jobs tab there with a down arrow because it allows you to also search for a recruiter within companies or within groups, etc. And you can also search for jobs within groups. And if you do search for jobs in groups, those jobs that are posted there are not posted on LinkedIn proper because it costs money to post a job on LinkedIn. But those are other ways by clicking that down arrow that you can search for job opportunities with companies or with groups or with things like that. Again, this is just an overshot. It's an older view of LinkedIn filters that you can use. Now LinkedIn limits the number of filters on a number of the search pages that you have, but you have a number of options that you can have there. The one thing that I do recommend that you do on a job search is limit your search to the past week. If it's a fairly common job that you're looking for, like a project manager. If you're looking for a job with an unusual title, again, health and safety engineer, or environmental engineer, those may be limited. I worked with a candidate like that looking for jobs, and I think there were about a dozen jobs in the 4-state area around Arkansas where he was working at the time. LinkedIn has picked up a salary limitation from Indeed.com, and now a lot of jobs, particularly those in California, New York, and Massachusetts, it's required that they include a salary range in the job posting. Another thing that's mentioned over here is this easy apply. If you use that and choose to do that on somebody's website, make sure that you can include a current tailored resume for the position. Otherwise, it will simply use your LinkedIn profile as your resume and your application. And that may not be what you want to use to apply for that job. But those are some of the titles that you can use. Notice the job types. Most jobs on most of the job boards are full-time, but there are contract, part-time, internship, and temporary type positions and even volunteer positions for some of the jobs. You can create job alerts on position. This was for a recruiter for Plano, Texas. And by clicking that radio button that's right here, it allows you to choose daily or weekly. If you choose daily, they'll come in between 7 and 8 in the morning. I still get a lot of job results because I've helped other people look for jobs on my computer, and I get the results on my computer for them. But this is the result that you can get, and it'll come in and you can look at those frequently. You can glance through those in a hurry and see if there's any that you're interested in applying for. Okay, some homework for you to think about on your profile. You need to complete all the sections to increase your rankings and searches. And use the name that you normally use. What do you normally call by? My legal name is John Locke Alderson Jr., and I happen to use my middle name. So I play around with the telemarketers when they call and ask for John Alderson, and I say, which one? And they usually say senior, and I say, well, unfortunately, he passed away about 20 years ago. And as I say, make an effort to do something on your profile at least once a week to refresh it. Again, the fresher it is, the more likely people are to look further on your resume. Use a headline, job titles of positions that you're looking for. If you don't, it's going to default to the title of your last job on your LinkedIn profile. Do complete your open to work section because it allows you to list additional five job titles and to know that you're open to opportunities outside your local area. Do list your phone number and your email on the first line of your about section. It can be elsewhere on your LinkedIn about section, but if it's not on the top line, usually when you open your profile, only the first 3 lines show up. Your experience section, if you have an unusual job title, spell it out what it is, and do include some measurable results of what you've done. Use some keywords and skills from your profession. People like to know that you know what you're doing in your field. And do choose your top 3 skills in your skills section. And do a people search for yourself. See if you can find yourself as well. Jeff, I'm going to switch gears and see if we can get. Okay, did that come up, Jeff, with my profile?
Yes, it did.
Okay. What we'd like to do now is to look at your profile or look at some jobs that you're interested in. We need some volunteers, and Jeff's going to help me out with that.
So if you want us to look at your profile, just stick your name in the chat window or unmute your mic and ask away. James Pence.
James, what?
James Pence is the first one we'll look at.
Pence, sorry.
So you need to open up LinkedIn.
Oh, am I showing it or sorry?
No, we'll show it for you. We'll call it up so everybody can see.
Gotcha. Sorry.
I could type, I'd be dangerous.
Well,
about that.
we're all only thing we're seeing is your post attendee Zoom screen. We're not
Okay.
seeing your LinkedIn address or LinkedIn profile. We maybe have the wrong window up.
Possibly have, I have that right window up, share, okay.
It just says Zoom for us right now.
Well, for some reason, it's not working for me, Jeff. I've got that gremlin with me again.
All right, let me see here. Let me unshare everything. Oh, maybe there we go. Now we've got it. So no items found. James, you don't appear.
Oh, can you? I'm in the chat. I have my LinkedIn.
There it is. There we got you.
There it is. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. You're open to work. You guys, your banner shot is a little busy. There's no problem about that. And again, talking about that, you're a second
Yes,
degree
sir.
connection. The first thing I'm going to do is take your look at your contact information. Okay. And again,
I thought I had my email, but I guess I can redo that.
you have not opened it
Well,
up. So let's take a
you,
look
you,
down further.
you may do, it's just that you got to remember, if you're not connected first degree connection, you cannot see everybody's contact information. That's why we say it's
Oh,
real important to be sure to
Okay.
put it in your about section so that
Okay, this is what
everybody
I'm
can
looking
see
at.
that.
I'm looking at your about section now. And
Yeah,
you have it at
and
the
it's-
bottom of your about section. I would move that email and phone number to the top section. Let's connect those two lines, your email and your phone number. Okay.
move it to the top. Okay.
The top of your about section. Make it easy for me to contact you. You've
Yes,
got
sir.
who do you know? You've okay. You've got some tax advisor experience, some experience. You've got a good accomplishment there in terms of you're accountable for a portfolio of 170 accounts. Again,
Yes, sir.
and what you're looking for. Another thing I want to look at, James, is to go back to your top and what are the jobs that you're looking for? Okay. You have said what you are looking for. You have not listed there, and I would strongly suggest that you list the what are the job titles that you are looking for. Okay.
How do I, the part where it says a client relationship manager, where you have it
Right here
highlighted?
under your name is called your headline. Think of a movie marquee that some of the movie theaters have done away with those, but movie marquee, if the movie title that you're looking to see is not on the marquee, people are going to go elsewhere.
Okay.
So what have you done
Okay.
there? You have client relationship manager, client success. Well, what are the titles that you're looking for? And you can do that and modify that partner, business partner with executives and stakeholders. And what kind of business are you in? You're in financial management, right?
Well, client success, client
Okay.
relationship manager is the title.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
open to an industry, but that's the title.
okay. What are the titles that you are looking for? That's the key.
That one, client relationship manager,
That's the only title that you're looking for.
or client, different industry call them different things, account
That's
manager,
what you
client
want to put,
success.
what those different industries call it. As many things, because a recruiter is a talent management specialist, is a
Yes, sir.
staffing specialist. Okay, they use different titles for that. So what are some of the titles that you look for and use those titles in your headline? Okay,
Okay. I'll add those. Yes, sir. Thank you.
okay, because that's where you get the value. They search, what do they search for? They look for job titles. And one of the first places they see that is in your headline. Okay. Got a
Do I
good
need to
looking.
point out these are the titles, or how do can I put them like they are, just add more to them,
Yeah.
or how
You have
do I need to
200,
specify it?
you have 220 characters to play with. You've used about 140. One other thing I'm going to look at real quick is to
Yes,
go
sir.
down to your skills section. You've got a couple of good recommendations. They're both this year, so that's great. Your
Yes,
skill,
sir.
the skills that you have that are selected for your support management and analytical skills. I would suggest that you have 18 skills overall. Are those the key skills that you think about that you bring to offer to somebody's benefit? What are the key
I'll have to
skills that
review
you
that.
offer? And you could do that by going to your skills section, clicking on those three dots. When you open the three dots, it'll say reorder, and then hold your cursor over the four bars at the right and drag and
Yes,
drop
sir.
the ones that you want. Okay. Support management, that sounds like an administrative position. Analytical
Yes, sir.
skill, that's an important skill to have in your discipline, but it's not the one that I would search for.
Okay. Okay. I understand. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, let's look at somebody else, Jeff.
All right, who else would, all right, Timlin Wilson, Timolin, Tim,
Tim, K or
Tim, Olin,
All one word.
all one word there.
Timlin.
Last name Wilson. Yep.
Well, as I say, if I be a typist,
Got an extra S.
S, you get rid of the S before the L, yeah. Is that you?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Jeff on his banner shot has his phone number up in his banner shot. That's something that you people can look at. Okay, your project management, commercialization, training and development, cross-functional. Okay, we are second degree connections. So I'm again going to check profile. You haven't opened up your profile to everybody but your first degree connections probably. Okay, so then I'm going to. Come on. Okay, then I'm going to look at your about section and see if you have it in your about section. If that is your about section, I don't have any way to get in touch with you.
Yeah,
There-
very last line. She has no space before her name.
Yeah, that's not showing up correctly. It's actually a space, a line space in between. And that
Okay.
was intentional because I don't want just anybody contacting me.
Well,
It does show the 3 dots.
if I'm job hunting, okay, I want to be able to somebody to call me, pick up the telephone and call me or send me an email. Okay, by burying it in the 4th line of your about section, it's not going to get found because there's no space there. It's a period between environments and Timberland.
Yeah, like I said, that's not showing up correctly for some reason. There is a
Well,
whole line space between the 2.
it means that you need to do something and edit it. Make sure that what you got is what you want. Okay. There's
Yeah,
something.
and if you
That's
don't want to put your phone number, people, you can also always get a Google Voice number, and you put that number out there, and then it will forward all the phone calls to your cell phone.
It will screen them for you. It won't ring in. They won't ring direct unless you answer it. Okay. But that's
Okay.
that's something to consider. I know that some people want to keep quiet about things. Okay. Are you still, the question that I have, Timon, are you still with Frito-Lay?
That's a good question. So my severance package has not run out. So technically I'm still getting checks from Frito-Lay.
Okay, then you can do that. Again, one of the things that because you don't have an end date there, again, they're going to look at that, consider that as you're still currently employed there, which is okay because you're getting a check. Okay. Again, when you do that, if you don't have that, you do want to add a position that you're showing that you're job hunting and what the position is that you're looking for. You're looking as a marketing project manager.
Correct.
Okay.
And I will say, I like how you did that, because the generic title that I guess they gave you didn't say what you did, and then you put in parentheses what it is you do. And
Correct.
that's a great way to do that.
That's a good way to do it. I remember I mentioned the member of technical staff 3. Doesn't describe what somebody did. Brand launch execution. Okay. Those are some of the things that you want to have. Let's take one more look down on yours and take a look at your skills. Okay. Educational excellence. I've never searched for that. Communications, never searched for that. Choose 2. Go in and open that, edit that up, go and check, click on that on your screen, check on the 3 dots, then reorder and choose the ones that you want. You've got 59 in total.
Okay.
Product launch may be one. Innovation marketing support. Okay. Zoom, Teams, those are not ones that I've searched for. Training and development, unless you're working in full-time in training development, I would not use that either. Okay. Brand launch is important for some consumer products companies. Okay. But choose the ones that really represent. What are the skills that you really represent? Okay. Diversity inclusion. I would not choose that to put that particular one in today's political climate. Even though there's nothing wrong with that, and I believe in it. Again, remember what are the two that are going to show up when you show up? Educational excellence and communications, product launch. I would reorder those to the order that you want, and you can reorder them periodically. Going to do it once or twice a week, even. Okay?
It actually says execution excellence.
Executional
excellence.
excellence. I've never searched for that. What is that?
In the CPG field as a marketing project manager, my skill is execution. So you have some people who come up with the ideas, some people who design. I'm the person who takes what you want to do and execute it.
Okay.
I get it to market.
Okay, but think about your audience. Do they know that? What does your audience know? What are they looking for? Because oftentimes the recruiter doesn't know that. The hiring manager may know that, but the recruiter may not know that if they're searching
Okay.
for candidates. So what are the ones like marketing, market product launch? I understand that. Executional excellence, I understand that you've explained it to me, but you may not have the opportunity to explain it to anybody.
Okay.
Just think about it. And the advice that both Jeff and I offers is free. If it makes sense, use it. If it doesn't make sense, don't use it. But again, we have a few years of experience behind us, I think. Okay? Timbaland, thank you. Get somebody else, Jeff, while we've still got some time.
Okay, Madison, Madison. Last
Yeah, I
name,
know mine probably needs work.
last name Saba, Saba.
That's right.
No, Sab.
B?
Boy.
B as in boy. Yeah.
There we
Okay,
go.
another second degree connection. Okay. So, and looking, okay. First thing, again, I said about having your contact information so people can get, I can't look at it through your contact information.
Where does it go exactly? Because I thought I just updated it.
That's over in
Well,
your privacy. That's over in your privacy settings. I don't know that you want to change that. The easy way to do it is in your abouts, is in your headline behind you, in your banner shot, or down in your about section. And guess what?
you don't have an about
You
section.
don't have an about section. Your
Okay.
about section allows you to talk about who you are, and that's when you go and you open up your screen, and there's a plus there right in the first box there. There'll be a plus, add a section. And in your about section, it's kind of like your resume. You can talk about things. It's a good example. I won't use being egotistical, but you can look at mine in a different way. I've spoken in my about section, but you have 2,000 characters there. At the top line of your about section, you want your contact information. If you just want your email or link, Google phone number, do that. Okay. But that's one thing I would have. Cyber risk security analyst. What are the jobs that you have? You're a Marine Corps veteran, but you're cybersecurity. What are some of the job titles that you're looking at? You've listed a functional area, risk management, and not a cybersecurity risk manager. Okay. And that's the distinction when you look for jobs. What are the titles that you're looking for? That's what you want to put in your headline. Okay.
Okay.
Let's look down at, again, your skill section. You have 21 skills. If you have not selected your skills, LinkedIn did it for you. Okay. IT contract negotiation. Contract negotiation is a very important skill set. Now let's take a look at your other skill set. IT contract, corporate finance, IT project and program management. Okay. Military operations, unless it's probably for a defense contractor, is probably not the one I would choose. And having worked for defense contractors and the government, understand about that. Program management, project management are the things that I would have. Cybersecurity is definitely one that I want to have. Intelligence analyst, okay. But you have some other ones that are there that you may want that are more valuable than a stakeholder management, because I've never looked for a stakeholder manager.
Okay.
I have looked for contract negotiators. I've looked in corporate finance people, IT project management and program management. Yes. Okay. Those would be the two that I would put up there at the top.
Okay.
Play around with that. Use those 3 dots and open it up and choose reorder.
Mm-hmm.
You can reorder those. Okay.
Okay.
Have to get out of skills. Come on. One other question for you. You're still with AT&T?
No.
Okay. I would add, because you have an end date of April of 25, I'd add a current position. And if you're looking for a cybersecurity specialist opportunity in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, that may be the title of the job that you have. And it could be a financial services industry or any other industry.
I have a question about that. So for current position,
Yes,
I'm
that's
not
what you're
working for
doing. As a job hunter, what are you doing? What's the title of the job that you want?
I
What's
just put down the title of the job I do want.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
then
what you're doing is you're putting in a fake job to just let people know that here's the job title or titles that I'm looking for, that here are 2 or 3 of my top skills about what I can do in this role. Please reach out to me. Let's talk. Put that in there. Let people know,
okay.
that, you're looking for a job. And then when you get a real job, you just go back and delete that placeholder.
Okay. Okay.
if you want, I'll mention again, if you want the slide deck, there was an example in the slide deck, lockealderson@gmail.com. It's got a lot of tips and techniques. I kind of speak fast and not a lot of jokes, but we'll go from there. Okay.
Okay.
Madison, hopefully that's helpful. Jeff, we got time for about one more.
Well, no, I'm gonna go ahead,
You're
get
gonna
everyone in a
steal my
couple minutes,
thunder.
and we had a couple minutes ago, so we'll stop with right there where you are. Like Locke said, if you're looking for his deck, just send him an email at lockealderson@gmail.com. Next week, our speaker will be Kurt Vondermatter. He's a retained search, executive search at Linked Executive Search. He'll talk about LinkedIn from a recruiter's eye. He's trying to find you, what you can do to help how to be found. So he'll be with us next Tuesday, 1 o'clock. Career DFW and Career USA, we're putting on training 3 days a week. Tuesdays is LinkedIn. Tomorrow, Wednesday, the practice interview team will be meeting. If you live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you can join them at Christ United Methodist Church. It's at Coit and Parker in Plano. They'll be there from 1 to 3 o'clock up on the second floor. They meet in person on the first, second, third, and fifth Wednesdays. And every fourth Wednesday, they meet online only. So everybody outside the DFW area can join. And in fact, I happened to hear about one of the interviews they're going to have tomorrow, and it was like, oh, that sounds really interesting. I may actually show up because it's a unique person being interviewed for a job. So you'll learn just as much by watching as you do being in the interview. So tomorrow is online only. If you can't join us online and you want some interviewing experience, you can join us, and we're recommending you watch session 9 of the 13-part interview workshop that we've got, and it's on demonstrating enthusiasm. If you don't already have the link, anybody who got the email this week got the link. If not, just go to Career USA, go on the calendar on the left-hand side and look for Interview Wednesday online. Click on that for the current date, and you'll be able to see the current program link that you can watch. This Friday at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, Mike Chapman will be with us to talk about 2026 open enrollment update. There is a bunch of things that he could not talk about until October 1st, but he can spill all the beans now about if you've got any question about medical coverage for 2026, he can now help us. Mike has been helping job seekers for well over 10, 12 years.
He's been my agent since 2010.
Okay.
He's an expert.
Yeah, he knows his stuff. So if you have any questions about that, you're welcome to join us either in person or online. You're welcome to join the Career DFW or CareerUSA.org LinkedIn groups. We've got over 16,000 members in the Career DFW group. You do not need to live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but I will look at your profile. And if your profile's if it's not mostly complete, why are you on LinkedIn? Why should you be in the group? So, get your profile complete. It's very important. This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career USA YouTube channel later this afternoon. If you'd like to, you can subscribe to the channel. That way, every time we post a new video, you'll find out about it. On the Career USA YouTube channel, every video that I post goes into one of 7 different playlists. So you want to click on playlist when you get there, and then look for the list down the very bottom. And don't click on the video, but that you see the red arrow, view full playlist. When you click there, then up will come a list of all the different topics and by date order, and you can go back and watch any video that you want at your convenience. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops, please join the Career USA mailing list. You can just scan this QR code and just send a blank email. You don't have to put anything in it, or send a blank email to Career USA, the + subscribe at groups.io. You'll never be spammed. I control the list. The email only goes out once or twice a week, and it'll all be about stuff from Career USA. Please note, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. All of our speakers are volunteers, Locke's volunteer, I'm a volunteer. Everything I've done over the last 15, 16 years has just been to help you land your next great opportunity. So thank you very much for joining us today, everybody. Locke, once again, thank you very, very much. Everybody else, have a great Tuesday, and hopefully we'll see you later in the week.